It's a very spooky episode of the Brian Benny Podcast. Did that sound spooky? Not really.
I'm just happy you remembered to do it.
Yeah, because it's Halloween.
Exciting. This is so good.
Has this ever happened to us before where it's landed on Halloween?
Not that I recall.
I don't think so. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy it.
I do.
You're feeling extra witchy today.
I know, but I wish I had, like, I didn't really think about it, and I wish it have come hard with, like, the scary, spooky stories.
Yeah.
I do have an update on one spooky story we talked about.
Okay.
So remember how I played that really creepy sound of the lynx fighting? So some of my friends from camp listened to that episode, and they called me and were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you forgot to tell the story of what happened at camp because we have a personal experience with something like this. And it all clicked, and I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot.
What happened?
We refer to this year at camp as slasher year because we are all at campfire, and we hear a noise that sounds like a woman screaming. And somebody's like, there's definitely somebody out there. So search parties were sent. Like, police were called, the forest rangers. Like, there was some serious, like, searching done because of the sound. And then, like, lo and behold, we find out it was... But, like, we were really convinced that somebody was getting murdered in the...
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you think you
like
blocked it out? Because maybe you didn't know it was a lynx.
Yeah. And then, like, there were so many stories from... I don't know. I feel like... And now I wonder even if I was there that year or if I've just heard the story so many times that my memories put me there. Like,
ooh, I hate
it's one
that.
of those where, like, I have all the details and I have a visual of, like, what it would have been like, but I can't remember if I was actually there. Or so I think maybe that made it so I didn't really.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe you just heard about it.
Yeah, but they call it slasher year.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Just because of that incident?
Yes,
or there was a
because
whole bunch of weirdness?
Well, there's always a whole bunch of weirdness at camp. Yeah, I think this year somebody pulled a fire alarm, too. That was a whole drama. And, yeah.
I don't think I support camp culture.
Oh, get out of here. It's the best. It's, like, the best kind of shenanigans. And, like, I was just talking with somebody about all of our, like, fun prank stories and things like that.
I hate pranks.
And we were talking about the ones that are okay and ones that are unacceptable. Do not do them.
Who was the one on the challenge that put the chips or cereal or
Me.
something? Yeah.
Well, I did that first
funny.
and then somebody copied that.
It's not
great.
funny, Sarah.
For all of you out there who are wondering, what I did is I unmade the bed, then I put an entire layer of cornflakes down between the mattress and the top sheet, or fitted sheet, and then I remade the bed. And so when these drunk fools come, like, sliding into, catch some Z's, they have to, like, deal with...
But who did you do it to?
I did it to Ryan from my season, I think, first, and maybe Ryan and Chet. And then, did I do it to them? I've done it to a whole bunch of people. I did it to pretty much every single person.
Who you target?
This is awful. Usually it's, like, the person who's, like, going to get the most upset.
Sarah.
Who I know is going to be not happy about it.
If you ever.
It's so funny. I would never prank you.
It would ruin our relationship.
I would never in a million years because I'm smarter than that. Like, they have to be, like, a willing participant.
Right,
it's like somebody who's going to, like, get the right kind of, like, Camilla. She was always great to prank. And then she stole my prank and then did it to other people.
Right. I think that's the one I
at.
actually saw.
Yes. And I was like,
then you were mad.
Prank thief! Prank thief!
That it was plagiarized.
Yes.
You were mad about that.
Yes. Well, after I had my book idea plagiarized in the challenge, I figured...
You're sensitive to it.
Right. I'm very sensitive. Don't plagiarize my
This isn't
pranks.
a spooky update, but I think you received some... who was it? Or no, it was on Break Kitty. But a lot of people have been weighing in about this puzzle doctor.
Oh, well, yeah. And they say they're for it.
Oh, we were on the same message, you and I. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, they are for it. They are mad that we're not.
Okay, for the record, I was pro.
Oh, but I'm...
Sort of.
I'm fine with it
Right.
for them to order it. I just can't believe he could stay in business.
Right. And we were saying it's probably a side hustle.
So this guy creates these jigsaw puzzle pieces for if you're missing one in your set. And we should have known that we have a lot of brainiacs who are puzzlers.
Yes. Puzzler. That's such a cool...
Let's see what this one said.
Yes.
This is from Allison.
Did you see the image of the puzzle that...
Yes. That was... How many pieces was that one?
I want to say 24,000. It's something
insane.
It was like... Or 12,000. 12... Yeah, like 12,000.
It was like the size of a wall.
It was an entire wall.
Well, this gal says she does at least 3 1,000-piece puzzles a week.
Whoa! If I ever lose anything, I'm calling her. Find this in this pile.
Right, and for her, it's self-care. You know,
That's
it's like
great.
helps her relax. And after her grandma died, then this was a way that she felt better. And let's see. Yeah, she said they're very expensive when they're new. So if you are missing a piece, then $13 is not that
we
bad.
Have some info.
Oh, wait. She actually... Okay. Maybe... I think it goes back and forth because at the end it says, I'd sooner get rid of the faulted puzzle and buy a new one for that price. So maybe the 13 is the sticking point for her, $13.
Maybe.
But she signed off by saying, fuck Johnny Bananas, which is always really nice when people do that.
Yeah.
And when she swore, she said sorry to Linda.
Oh, my gosh.
Linda,
I love it.
Allison here is a real...
Brain candy brainiac.
And she loves puzzles. And so I think people tended to write and say they thought that was a great service.
Right.
I just don't know how he makes a living.
And
calls himself like a CEO of Puzzle Talk.
That's funny. That's funny, right?
Yeah, so what do I know? It
kind of makes me think, I'm like, what other... I mean, there's got to be like a replacement for Scrabble pieces, right?
Let's hope so. Because remember when we did it out on my deck, we lost 3 pieces.
I know.
I want to go in there and get them, but they'll be all weathered.
Yeah, they will. In fact, I saw, you know how I got you the Clue that looks like a book?
Yes.
I saw a Scrabble version of it, and I was like, should I just get her that for Christmas?
But
because
it looks like a book?
Yeah, like goes. It's really cool. They look like books. Like
and you can
go
put them
on
in
the
your
shelf. Yeah, and they had a Scrabble version, and I was like, I did lose some of her pieces. Maybe I should replace her game.
Was it you? I'm not.
I might.
Was it?
I mean,
we were asking
both
for it.
We were playing
Don't
outside.
Ever play Scrabble on a slatted deck.
Yeah, risky environment.
Risky.
It was like extreme Scrabble.
Right. Well, whenever we go outside, we like to take wine with us, and we like it to be cold and the appropriate temperature. And we are able to do that thanks to Brewmate. I saw a couple Brainiacs tagged us in posts with their Brewmate wine salators. These are, so they have the full bottle one.
It's amazing.
It's awesome. You can put a whole
it.
bottle of wine in there and take it to a game or tailgating, wherever you're going.
'Tis the season.
Out by the pool. Well, yeah, it's not pool season now, but
tailgating season, though.
It's for sure tailgating season. And then it also has the individual cups, and they're insulated as well. And they keep your drink the appropriate temperature for like freaking 24 hours. They have beer versions, the Hopsolator Trio, if you're into the beer scene.
Yep.
Don't settle for warm alcohol. Chill out with your favorite drinks all day long with Brewmate. Visit brewmate.com and add code BRAIN to get 15% off your first order. That's 15% off your first order when you go to brumate.com and add code BRAIN. We love our drinks, don't we?
We sure do. In the mood.
So should we explore the long-awaited Enneagram shenanigan?
Oh my gosh, Susie resisted for a million years.
I'm still mad about it.
Why? I love to talk about why you're mad about it.
Well, I think because my focus in religious studies involved researching a lot of these type of things. Personality tests are a part of that culture of like inspirational, self-identifying, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just generally turned off by it. And it's very popular in the evangelical community. Oh, wow. So like everyone I know that's an evangelical white mom is super into Enneagram.
That's so weird. It's like I see the other side of it where it's like people who are more...
Maybe this could bring people together.
Like, I think of like Emily Schramm, who's like into like the... kind of like astrology and like fitness and more like,
but
which don't go hand in hand. But
in religion.
Totally
that
true.
That sticks.
Totally true.
Yeah, I've dismantled my mind, but a lot of people, even if they've abandoned the faith, they still keep these interesting little subculture rituals.
I totally see what you mean by that.
Tori was the first person to harass me about it. My friend Leah, she's super into it. Like, you know those people that are just like, what's your number?
Uh-huh.
Like, they assume you've already taken it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it bothers me. It really shouldn't.
You know, when I'm working with my clients and you know, any kind of...
Do you tell them to do this?
No.
Okay.
But not in because this isn't evidence-based and I can't use... It's not like a formal...
My mom's therapist told her to do it. Isn't that weird?
I can see
like,
how it's like if somebody's resistant to doing some like self-reflection and that's why I called it like a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug to self-awareness. So when I talk to my clients about like how when we're little, we're in class and we have all these like little little worksheets they give us. That's like, what your favorite music, your favorite flavor of ice cream, we kind of explore what it is that we like, what our interests are, what, you know, and it's all this, a lot of like this, I don't know, curiosity about ourselves. And then we're kind of like expected to just have it all figured out and know exactly who we are and then stop the analysis of like, well, this is who I am now. And I think a lot of that, as we've talked about on here a whole bunch, is based on, you know, other people's opinions from when you were younger or all this, and to be able to just stop and look at some questions and kind of think about how you would answer. And, you know, like a lot of the questions on there are things like, I like to be in control, or I'm very concerned with my safety and the safety of others around me. And just thinking about those things, like, what does that mean? Is that a thing that, you know, it brings you joy and comfort, or does it bring you discomfort because that's something that you're always occupied with? So I think it allows for a little more of that. Susie's like not happy.
I am not, because I'm really interested in human behavior and what motivates us as people, but I'm really interested in others. This feels so, to me, kind of narcissistic because it's all about like, who am I? And especially when people fixate on it, which, by the way, I love Leah and Tori. This isn't about them. But it kind of turns me off.
When it becomes the I don't know, like the Bible for like how, like, it's really just another tool to provide more information. I think. You know, but you just like.
But why aren't men into it? Anything that's hyper female, you'd think I would be really into it, but I get mad.
Sometimes guys are. Like, there was somebody on Tinder who was really into it, who I was talking to. And it's not, you would never expect that this person would be really into it. They do not fit your, like, mold.
Would you say he's super smart?
I would say, like, a lifelong learner. Maybe not.
It just, I could see that where it just like gets somebody thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah was unusual because she had taken it a couple years ago or a year ago.
Yeah, probably 2 years ago.
And then she retook it because she wanted to see if now that she's in a different place in her life, if her results change. So we'll find that out too.
Yes. Tell me about yours. You took it.
I took it under protest, even though it was my idea.
So funny.
Yeah, I mean, was yours like percentage? Like you're this much? Okay. Yeah, I'm mostly number 3, the achiever, and number 8, the challenger.
Oh, those are good ones. I'm number 2 and number 3.
Number 2, the giver and the achiever.
Yes.
What kind of percentages are we dealing with here?
72. Number 3 actually is my most, but
me too.
76% achiever.
I'm 75.
Wow, and
we're
then
almost
70,
the same.
Right,
that's really weird.
But it kind of makes sense in that category.
Okay.
And then number 2, I'm a 72% match. Yeah, it says 2s want to be liked and find ways that they can be helpful to others so that they can belong.
Okay.
I definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so my challenger one, that's my second highest at 71%. That's see themselves as strong and powerful and seek to stand up for what they believe in. So what are we supposed to do with this information now? Can you please guide me on this ridiculous journey?
Well, I think the thing to look at that, at least for me, provides me the most information is they break it down into when you're at a healthy level and you're a 2, when you're at an average level, breakdown. And when you're at an unhealthy level. That's the most important.
How do you find that out?
It's when you click on each thing and it gives you more information. So like if we think about my number 2, that's like the giver, It says that this person is caring and gentle, nurturing and patient, approachable, radiates kindness, a vocal volunteer or activist. And so in a healthy level, we're selfless caregivers who are fulfilled by giving unconditional love. We're comfortable sharing my own needs to others and secure in a healthy give and take balance, blah, 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 all this stuff. That's all great. Mm-hmm. But then if we look at unhealthy levels, givers fall into a pit of self-despair and criticism, constantly looking for others' faults and wrongdoings. They try to gain control over relationships and become either overly clingy or overbearing. There's now an excuse for every action, and they play the victim card in order to gain sympathy and reassurance. I can definitely recognize times where I feel the most insecure, and when other areas of my life are not healthy, where these kind of traits flare up. And I'm like, ooh. If you start to recognize that if I start to recognize that I'm like looking at others' faults and wrongdoings, if I'm, becoming overly clingy or overbearing, it's usually like to be able to point it back to yourself. That's why I think if you can look at it, oh yeah, it's narcissistic. But really the way I look at it is recognizing that any problem that we have most problems that we have with other people around us come from a problem within ourselves. That if we work on if I work on, not becoming overbearing and, not trying to gain control in relationships and really trying to balance that part of myself, then my interpersonal relationships will become healthier. And so I think it's great to have somebody look at something and be like, oh, I'm not being like, this isn't just I play the victim card and then like that's it. This is a sign of an unhealthy balance in my life, and I need to kind of like focus on me and what my needs are and what I can do to kind of change that. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's like self-awareness.
Well, does it say to you, though, here's whether you're in the healthy range?
No, you get to determine that.
Oh, okay.
This information says these are your core, like where you put value, really. Where do you put value? Do you put value on being a challenger? Do you put value on being a loyalist? Do you put value on being an activist? Whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And just like we said, there's two sides to every coin. We always say this, that those traits, those values can have really positive qualities to them, but they also can sometimes, they're like that flip side. There can be negative things to that when left, when kind of like in a state of dis-ease. Mm-hmm.
I guess among my problems with this is how long did it take you to take the test?
10 minutes.
Yeah. And you're telling me you know about me from 10 minutes.
Well, but also I give very scientifically researched assessments that are all like totally like valid, that take even less time to do. The Beck Depression Inventory, the Beck Anxiety Inventory, the Quality of Life Inventory.
But those are specific traits. Whereas this is like...
But the Quality of Life one isn't. That's like, but really it's like, I think that the questions when they're really, I think you can't get hung up on it being like, this is the end all be all and the answer and everything. And maybe the frustration is with people who tend to do that. Mm-hmm. To be like, yep, I got it all. This is like an add-on, This isn't like to replace, just like WebMD doesn't replace a doctor. Mm-hmm. An online personality test does not replace like a mental health professional who's really going to help you look at this. Because it's still left a personal like interpretation.
Whenever a researcher or a scholar creates any kind of polling, the problem is that, words mean things, but language is imprecise and fluid and malleable. And that's what I found with this, is that they'll use a word that could mean a variety of things to each person.
Yes.
And if you only have a few questions, that result will matter. And so, it seems to me lacking nuance. But people get really invested in their identity, like who they are on this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just feels like, why do you care so much?
I think it's the same with like astrology, with anything like that.
Yes.
If you just dig your heels in and you're like, nope, well, that's just me. I'm just a Pisces and that's it. Then you're using it wrong. Mm-hmm. All of this stuff just gives you information that then your job, if you care, is to like synthesize and process and then go, okay, now what has this taught me? How is this going to change my behavior, my actions, everything like that? Mm-hmm. You know, I think like my past one, the one that I got before, said a lot about me being suspicious and jealous in the negative sense. And I was like, they are freaking right. I
Which
was
one would
the
that
loyalist.
Be? Oh, yeah.
Yep. And that a committed, security-oriented type, reliable, hardworking, trustworthy, excellent troubleshooters.
I'm surprised you still didn't get high on that because of all the safety stuff.
But in a way, that safety stuff was a result of feelings of anxiety about me not being in like the right place in my life. Because now when I took it, I thought about those questions and I don't care as much. I don't have like weird checking behavior. I don't worry about the house burning down. That was all anxiety from other things that I was attaching to all this stuff. Yeah. And once that went away, I was like, oh, I feel safe and secure on my own. And my need to be like that, it totally went away. Mm-hmm. Or definitely decreased. It's not even in my top 4.
Can I just say briefly
yes.
that if you happen to be a lifelong learner like Sarah's Tinder friend, then you guys should try Skillshare. I talked last time about this, but you weren't here, about how they have a class I want you to take. It's about like how to care for your plants.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Right.
I'll take any info.
How to care for your plants and then like how to pick the right plant for whatever.
Oh, I'd love that.
Like, Sarah would love
I'm
this.
in the market for new plants.
Yeah, you're always in the market.
That's so true.
For new plants. But you can take classes with Skillshare in everything from photography, creative writing, design, productivity, and more. I love the cooking classes, as you guys know. If lifelong learning is important to you, I think you guys will love it. Join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for our listeners. Get 2 months of Skillshare for free. That's right. Skillshare is offering the Brain Candy podcast listeners 2 months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/braincandy. Again, go to Skillshare.com/braincandy. Start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/braincandy.
And you know what, to be honest about the Tinder guy who was real into this, his interest in this, I didn't go out with him. I didn't even continue talking to him. He was real into it. And then there was another one about like animals that he was like, oh, I'm this. And then I like took that test and I got mine and I was like, well, it's real accurate. But again, it's like, why are we, I felt like, I
can't believe you took it.
Well, because it's fun. I love that.
Why
I'm a
though?
Test taker.
I'm a test taker.
No, I like the info. I like, I don't know. I like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think people have this desire to learn about themselves and maybe you're good at doing a little like introspective self-reflection and it comes easier to you. Yeah. And so maybe it's hard for people, we talk about having like creating distance. Mm-hmm. So maybe this kind of creates that distance that then allows them to kind of like backdoor self-analysis kind of.
Well, I forget what book it was we read, but I think it was for book club, and it was talking about how who you are as for women, who you are as a child, and then who you are as an old lady are like your
the
real
motorcycle
self.
one.
Yes, thank you. Murphy and me. I think.
Yes,
Harley and
me. And it's such a cute name now.
And
say it out loud.
I'm wondering, like, if of your 2 Enneagrams, do you think one's like who you're truly or not, or do you think it can change all the time?
I would say the one now is more like me when I was younger, like that kind of
right. Okay.
Because I think deep down I would say I'm totally that like the giver, like the nurturer.
On that in that book, it was talking about how when you get your hormones and you're in that fertile window, that it's not actually you in a way because those hormones just wreak havoc.
Totally.
And it's so up and down. But before you are fertile and then after, that's your real self. So I'm wondering if that's what's gone on with Sarah. But it just seems like this is more like really can depend on even like what year of your life.
I think so too. I think everything like that. And the same with like I was really into handwriting analysis for a long time and for a short period of time, whatevs. And it's the same with that. that changes, and it just gives you more information, makes you look, oh, okay, that person's a little stressed and a person's a little tense, or that person's real, like, rough around the edges, or likes order and likes to do things in all caps.
I feel like the same people that are into this are into the love languages.
Oh, see, that's one that we really do clinically use, and that one is pretty, like, tried and true. And, I love that one. It's very helpful.
I didn't say I didn't love it. Yeah. I'm just saying the same people like both.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you probably like all that kind of stuff. But definitely.
Do you know any people of color that are into these things?
Yeah.
How do you?
The Tinder date was person of color. So
was he?
Yeah, but we didn't go on a date.
He seems to be not fitting into the categories, though.
Yeah,
he might be an outlier.
I definitely think so, and love languages too, for sure. But then it's like people from my clinic, so that kind of changes the.
Well, I hope you're happy that we did this.
We didn't win her over, people. People are going to like that. They know, But I think
will they?
Yeah, it's people. I think people are interested in hearing like what you would get.
Because the other ones that we aren't are like the individualist.
Yeah, I'm not that.
The enthusiast. You could be that. You probably rated high on that one.
I wonder what number is that?
7.
The enthusiast.
The investigator.
I'm not really that.
My lowest one, not surprisingly, was the peacemaker.
That's funny. Oh, gosh,
which is
that's real
case
funny.
in point right now.
Yes. Oh, that's funny.
And then perfectionist.
7, I was pretty high. It was a 69% match to the enthusiast.
I'm sure. That's quite high.
Yeah, that is really high, actually. Yeah, that's me, too.
I do want people to tell me what numbers they are. I'll put it on Instagram and they can comment because I do think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because people really want to tell you, too. Like, once they take it, they really want to tell you what their results are.
But again, it's like, if it becomes an excuse for I just don't like that. When it's like, this is my excuse.
Right.
But.
Oh, well, yeah. So this is a good sort of segue to an article that I read. I believe it was in the Atlantic. And it was sort of breaking down the difference between narcissism and self-esteem.
Oh, totally.
And how that can be muddled a bit. And, specifically looking at millennials, of course, they're always on the spot for that stuff.
Yeah.
And, it was talking about whether that movement towards the, participation trophy and the everyone's special thing did, in fact, cause the narcissism that everyone is so frequently accusing of millennials. And they were kind of making a difference between... it does lead to narcissistic admiration, which is a desire to be well-liked.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily lead to narcissistic rivalry, which is to dominate others.
Got it.
So that's, I guess, good news.
Yeah.
And the difference between those is one is more collaborative and one is like, you see the world as a zero-sum game. Like, if I get ahead, you can't.
Absolutely. And if you've met a narcissist who uses you like that, that is totally... the feeling.
Our conversation about narcissists and like the thing about how to fight with one.
Yeah.
Man, I got a lot of messages about that.
Same.
I think we all seem to
know somebody.
Maybe it's something about our style of listener that we're attracting these people.
Well, I know that parts of myself definitely attracted narcissists. Like, absolutely.
Huh.
I have totally and easily easily manipulated by the person,
like
because I'm trusting.
You fall for the bullshit.
Yes, because I'm super trusting and super assume that everybody's going to have the other person's best interest in mind, and that is not the case.
Yeah.
So I'm like the perfect
foil,
patsy or whatever.
Patsy, is that it? What does that mean?
I think isn't it like the perfect patsy is like
I don't know, but I like it.
The one the person that you can get to commit the crime with you or
Oh
something.
my God.
It probably comes from, we're going to have to look up the history of that word. Yeah.
Well, and I was reading about how narcissists see you as either a stepping stone or an obstacle. Mm-hmm. So they can either use you to get ahead or you're in the way of them getting ahead and they don't see any other. Yeah. You're either one or the other.
Right. And I think it's more of a it's like that self-admiration kind of generation. And are we really... everything around us sends us the message that we should do that. And be like, take the selfies, buy this, look this way, look, it's very, that's.
It seems like the line is between self-esteem being somebody who feels good about themselves and is comfortable in their own skin. And then the tipping point is when you start to think you're superior.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Because self-worth and self-esteem is really like the cornerstone of my theory that I work with. Above all else, it's increasing self-worth and self-esteem that then increases healthy communication and betters different relationships, and it stops people from reacting in what they call a survival stance. So when we feel like we have to just survive, we tend to be either a blamer or a placater or a martyr or kind of like irrelevant and not care one way or the other, or really analytical. And these are all like defense mechanisms that helped us survive when we didn't feel like we had autonomy or we didn't have high self-worth or somebody else was kind of controlling that. And so I work with people to really focus on self-worth. And self-worth doesn't mean I'm better than everybody else. It means I'm me and I'm good enough for all those qualities, good and bad. And I accept all the full range of like the human experience and all my traits, positive and negative. And because nobody's perfect. And like, I think a narcissist is like, nope, I'm perfect and I have no flaws.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody with high self-worth has good feelings that they are worthy and accepts that they are a person like everybody else with flaws, with, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
another thing that gives great self-esteem is when you're wearing your adorable Just Fab outfit.
Absolutely. Do you see my hat today?
Yeah.
Everybody loves it from Just Fab.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah, they keep commenting.
I know. And Just Fab is so great because they're constantly adding new items to their inventory, and you can take a 60-second style quiz, and they'll give you personalized outfit recommendations.
Oh, now you like quizzes.
You know what? I'll make an exception for this one. You get a personalized boutique, and they have over 1,000 different styles. They have shoes, as Sarah's got the hat. They have adorable rompers and little cute outfits for fall. Yes. It's really nice stuff, really fun to try all new pieces. And they love us, and they gave us a deal. Just Fab is offering our listeners an exclusive deal. Get your first Just Fab style for as low as $10 as a VIP. That's 75% off your first item with our special link. You just go to justfab.com/braincandy to take advantage of the deal. That's justfab.com/braincandy to get your first style for as low as $10 as a VIP. You can also get free shipping on orders over $39, and there absolutely is no commitment when you purchase your first order. Justfab.com/braincandy. Really cute stuff.
Yes. Lots of fun. Update on the term patsy.
Yes.
Began to take hold in America around 1903. Origin unknown, but some scholars think it may be an alternate word for pazzo, P-A-Z-Z-O, pazzo, maybe, meaning a madman. It's an Italian word.
Is that where paparazzi came from? Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And, or it could be the southern dialect, the word paccio, meaning fool.
Huh.
So, which makes a lot of sense.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to use it all the time because it's hilarious.
Paccio, P-A-C-C-I-O.
Does everyone know about this and I just missed it?
Like Patsy? Oh, I think so.
Okay. I'm out of the loop.
I don't know. Unless it's like a West Coast thing. I don't think so,
though. Okay. Since it is Halloween.
Yes.
This is spooky. Some guy was super obsessed with this Asian pop star. And he used the pictures that she posted on Instagram to scan her pupils and then stalk her via like Google, whatever it is, like, the cameras that are everywhere.
Oh my God. This is actually my nightmare.
Why?
I'm terrified of I think from being on the show.
Yeah.
Of cameras being in recording me.
Wow. Sarah.
Don't you ever get that feeling?
No. Sometimes with the mic, I'll think, do I have my mic on?
Oh, yeah.
Every so often.
Yeah.
And I'll think, what the hell? Where'd that come from?
I was like, am I being recorded?
Never cameras, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
but
weird.
That's more likely.
Like a fear. And it was because I moved into a place and a guy was like, did you check for bugs? And I thought he was talking about bugs. I was like, you know what's funny? I just saw a palmetto bug in my house the other. He's like, no, not those kind of bugs.
Why did he ask you that?
Because he worked for Homeland Security and he knew about this stuff.
What?
It was that guy who from the East Coast, Kenny's friend.
Yeah, but why would they, Kenny's friend? Why would they have bugs in your house?
Like, didn't you see that documentary, The Motel?
Oh.
If there's a creepy person who likes to rent out apartments and who knows, creepy.
Okay, this leads me to another thing I read about this guy who was in bed with his girlfriend, and they heard something outside the window, and he went out, to get the guy as a peeping Tom. And, the guy was like jerking off or whatever.
Oh.
And I know, it's so gross.
Gross.
And then, beat the shit out of him. But then the guy died, like the peeping Tom.
Yeah.
And so the guy's in jail.
For beating him up?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
For, manslaughter, I guess they called it in the end.
Like an aggressive reaction.
I was like, good for him.
Oh, my God.
My husband would do the same thing. I mean, he'd probably call the cops, but he'd be inclined to beat the shit out of him.
I wonder if the circuit, like...
They had this wasn't the first time, and the cops didn't get there in time the previous time. So this was a well-known peeper in their neighborhood, and he had a history and a record of it. What do you think?
Like killing him. Like, it's sad that somebody died, but I understand that like the person who's like doesn't know what's going to happen, like that could be very dangerous. And
you
like,
feel
protecting
bad for
your
the
home.
peeper.
Well, I feel bad for anybody who died, and there wasn't like because I know that. Maybe it could escalate, but isn't really a violent crime. Like,
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
Like, I don't. Oh, it's so. I just don't. I don't know. I've just am like. If
that is such a violation in your own home.
I totally get that. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. And if there were no information, there was no information, and you just saw a figure on your property, all this stuff, like. But if you were prosecuting somebody who had 20 counts of peeping Tom and jerking off in the bushes, the sentence wouldn't be death.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
so
not saying
the punishment didn't really fit the crime. Is what I'm saying.
I agree about it shouldn't have resulted in someone's death.
That's what I'm saying.
But I also think it's good that guy went out to
I agree with that
beat the shit out of him. And sometimes when you beat the shit out of somebody,
it's. Right.
You kill them.
And you save somebody's right. And also you could, oh, God. It's just.
But I mean, I get what you're saying about it's not a violent crime, but it's violence of a different variety in my brain.
Yeah.
It's such a violation. Do you remember the whole, I think we even talked about it on here, that whole Erin Andrews peeping Tom thing when she was in the hotel room? And
no, I don't remember this.
This was like 5 years ago or something where she had kind of like a stalker or whatever, obsessed fan. And
who's Erin Andrews?
She's the ESPN
okay.
sideline gal.
Yes. I do remember like her.
And she...
Not the story.
Somehow he was able to put a recording device in her hotel room.
Oh, God. See?
And it was everywhere. And it's totally humiliating the way that, apart from the violation, you know how you act in...
Yes.
A hotel room. You take your clothes off. You might look in the mirror, whatever. You prance around a bit.
Right.
And the whole world saw her doing it.
God, see, that's like nobody should. It's hell.
And she has traumatic, PTSD from it and all this stuff. Anyway, he went to jail, but
God,
that's such a violation.
And it really, you know what? And you're right, because it's one of those where it's like 2 seconds for the guy, but a lifetime.
Yeah, she still probably suffers.
Traumatized, absolutely, 100%
so it's
PTSD.
Like not violent.
I mean, please, we didn't even experience violence from it, but I have PTSD from having cameras in a house. That's the feeling. You with the microphone.
I did an interview for Ken Levine's podcast the other day, and he had read one of my articles where I talked about the PTSD thing. And I still, even after writing that, I still have trouble articulating why it's so hard to reacclimate or re-enter a normal life after experiencing that. It's very difficult to describe, and I also felt that way about the recent Meghan Markle thing where she said how difficult this has been for her, and people are like, "Oh, cry me a river, you're a princess." Can it? But I think it's very hard to understand what all that might feel like. unless you have experienced it.
Absolutely.
You know?
I totally know this.
So it's like you can't win because she's not going to convince those other people. It's almost like she's preaching to the choir.
That's why trauma bonding is such a real thing. People who bond over shared trauma or shared understanding.
Because finally someone understands. Yeah.
And even the nature of that relationship can be based more in the trauma than in like the actual connection between the person. And man, it can mess us up. But this goes back to like, it's important to understand everybody's individual experience and how those things affected them and what survival stances they kind of take from that.
And I feel like, of course, there's bigger problems in the world, and a lot of people have way worse problems than Meghan Markle. But like, we can feel bad for everyone.
And I kind of have a problem with the whole like, oh, there are bigger problems than other people, because that's not the individual experience.
Well,
it doesn't matter
what
that. A person on the other side of the world, what problems they're having. My emotional reactions to whatever's happening in my environment are the same, regardless of anybody else's. And I think we kind of do this thing where we maybe kind of like devalue or gloss over some of the things that have happened to us to be like, oh, well, things are good, and you can't ignore those things.
Yeah.
Because the feelings still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And until you've not addressing the feelings is what creates anxiety, depression, all that.
Yeah.
So until we feel the feelings and let ourselves go, yeah, this is awful. This is whatever it is. Grief, sadness.
I was trying to teach my mom this when I saw her in Pittsburgh because she's very dualistic. So it's either the best thing or the worst thing.
Yeah.
And so, whenever she thinks I'm sad or something, then she'll be like, how are you?
Mm-hmm,
That. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, let's break this down. Mm-hmm. I can be happy in certain areas and content and grateful, and then in another area feel sad.
Yes.
Both at the same time.
Totally.
It's like it never occurred to her that you could have several emotions at once.
I heard somebody call it waffling your life, like kind of like an Eggo waffle, and how syrup goes into each of those little. You can have one that's full of syrup and one that's empty.
Yeah,
and just keep them in the in their little.
Some are wet, some are dry.
Right, and it's fine.
And it's all one waffle.
Totally one waffle. Yes, exactly.
I don't have a great waffle segue for BioClarity, but I do know that I love a beautiful, glowy, soft skin.
The same way I love a waffle.
Situation. The same way we love a waffle.
Oh, I have been very diligent about my routine.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what inspired me. I've been very good. Oh my God, does it make a difference to actually do it twice a day and like, I don't know, wash my face before I go to bed?
Right. I tell people this. I'm like, you have to do it every day and do it for a while, and then you'll see these results, and then you're going to be
my skin is so smooth.
Yeah. I use the clear skin routine because I have breakout prone skin. I think yours is the essential.
Yes. Essential. And then I throw in the serum, the recovery serum or like ultra calming serum. I think
that's great for me because I have all the scars and stuff that
good.
They get so red. But get healthier, more radiant skin by going to bioclarity.com. I should probably say that it is a 3-step regimen that improves your skin. We're kind of like, we assume everyone knows because we're always talking about it. I just love how it makes my skin feel, and the prices are actually affordable, which is a big thing because some of their competitors are insane. Mm-hmm. And right now our listeners can save 15% off everything on their website. That's an incredible deal, but you need to enter our code BRAINCANDY at checkout. Just go to bioclarity.com and get 15% off everything on their website when you use our code BRAINCANDY at checkout. And I take skin really seriously because I know how embarrassing it is when you have bad skin, so I would not lie to you. It's a true story.
Yes. So I just wanted to share this with you because, like, I don't have an article for it or anything, but just something that I noticed when I was reading an article about another subject.
Okay.
Is as I'm reading, they mentioned the researcher, but they only referred to them by their last name, did not know the gender the entire time.
I love when that happens.
And I was like, okay, I think maybe this is a new thing. And I really wanted to know the gender. I was like,
you think it was intentional?
Yes. I think that they're like that. Maybe I don't know. Is it considered good journalism if you kind of just make it
neutral.
I
like it.
I kind of went.
I know what you mean though, where you're like, but who is it?
Right, because it was a subject. I can't remember what it was, but it was a subject where I think it was when I was looking at they're doing a lot of studies on the female orgasm and the purpose of it and all this stuff. And I was like, I got to know if it's a woman or man who's
I can
being real. I need to conduct research because if it's a woman, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. If it's a man, I'm like.
That happens to me a lot when I'm just reading an article and I misguess whether the writer or the author is a male or female, like in articles, and I'll picture them in my mind, and then I'll look at the name and I'll be like, "Whoa!"
What do you usually picture it as?
I think I usually picture it as a man.
Oh wow, okay.
Just because
you're right,
patriarchy,
yeah.
And then, but I suppose it depends on the subject matter, like the tone that they take, the words they use can all be like subtle clues.
Yeah.
And so you imagine what they look like or who they are. And then I love when I'm wrong. I think it's so fun.
I do like that. And because my first guess would be to assume that all of them are female just because it's like me.
Yeah.
And it's like the lens that I experience the world. Oh, there must be and then.
Yeah.
But I would imagine since you're kind of in that world of, writing and academics and all this stuff that you have more understanding of who the typical writers are.
Yeah.
Where I'm just kind of looking at it as
through your
own my lens.
eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I that's interesting though. What if they did that as a purpose?
It almost seemed like they did. It seemed because it was so difficult there was nothing that gave even a hint at it. The language was totally changed too.
I think a lot of writers would say that that's bad writing.
It kind of felt like it in a way to me. It felt like
you left some stuff out.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or they were really trying to avoid mentioning that it was a male when talking about the subject of female orgasms or vice versa.
That would make me mad.
Now I want to know if the author was. I got to find where this... Because all I did was sent myself a text saying, using the researcher's name and making the gender anonymous in articles.
Yeah. Right.
Talk about this, Sarah. That's no other information. Right. Also, I have in here from way back when. Mm-hmm. I never got a picture of it. Oh. No, I do, but I didn't get a picture of it, so I didn't bring it up. And if I were to see this sign now, it would make sense because it's Halloween. But this was no joke up in September. And they're doing construction by my house, and there's a construction sign that you can change the wording and one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it says serious construction or heavy construction taking place on these dates. Expect delays. And then the next sign says we're serious, or it was we're dead serious. One of the two. But I was like, that's a weird thing to add.
Are you
we
kidding?
mean it. It's we mean it, or we're serious, or something like that. Where I was like, I got to take a picture of this, and then it was gone. When I went to go take a picture,
but
bizarre. It was 3 days where I saw this thing, and it was we mean it. And I was like, what? What did people of Dana Point not believe them before? I'm like, okay, we're just gonna keep going our normal way.
We're not falling for that again,
right?
Oh,
isn't that a weird thing for a sign to say?
Yes,
I agreed.
That I wonder if there's more to the story.
There's got to be. It just seemed very bizarre.
I don't like my signs having personality.
Yeah,
I gotta say
that was aggressive sign. We mean it, or we're serious. We're dead serious. It was something like that.
How strange.
Where I was like, did I see that wrong? And I went back around. I'm like, I got to see this thing again.
This is so funny how you always do that. It's like when you saw the goat in my neighborhood or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you will actually turn around to look.
I was like, did I really see that? The same way when you asked me what do I do with blood in my basement, I'd be like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing here? It takes me a little while because,
Right.
I had a very wild imagination when I was younger, and I used to just see things out of my corner of my eye, or at nighttime I would always it was always
what figures?
Yeah, not really, but I would turn a shadow into a monster or whatever it was in my eyes, and I still have that when I first wake up and go to the bathroom in the morning. When I just open my eyes and you go to the bathroom in the morning, and I'm my house now doesn't have it, but I used to have a tile floor in my old house, or even on travertine stone. My eyes will naturally find create a face in the floor, see the patterns kind of go weird. It's almost like my brain hasn't like come back on board, so it's really on autopilot. And you know that thing where it's like a human instinct to see faces, like find faces and stuff?
Yes,
that's
do know.
on turned up to 11 when I first wake up in the morning.
Like everything's a face.
Yeah, like I'll look at I'll kind of like my eyes will relax, I'll be half awake, and I'll like stare at the floor. It was like travertine tile, and so it had a bunch of like kind of marbly sort of designs, and I'd always be able to find like a face or an animal or something, but it would be really strong in the mornings and it doesn't happen throughout the rest of the day. It's weird.
You remember when, we were younger and they had those magic eye posters, and I could never do it. Right? There's always like one idiot who like can't figure out how to focus.
Because you're trying to control.
I think I've cracked the case.
What is it?
I have the unusual eyeball problem of one really good eye and one really bad eye.
Oh, that probably is it.
I want to try it with glasses on.
You might be able to, because it's like self-correcting so that it won't ever do that.
Yeah.
You have to get your eyes. Of course, that's it. That's
yes,
it.
and
Totally
I was so happy when I figured it out.
Here I am judging you about like,
it's probably both.
You just can't relax and relinquish control.
It's
even
probably
for your
both.
eyes.
Maybe if I did it with glasses, it still wouldn't work. But obviously, that's going to be a problem. If you have one eyeball.
Right.
Because that's essentially what I'm working with is like one eye.
And it will not work if you don't have the two, like doing that thing where it's like compensate and like making up the,
Yeah, so can you do that on a screen or does it have to be a poster?
I think you can, because I know there's a lot of those visual, what are they called?
Just like optical illusions?
Yes, like visual, that is redundant. Optical illusions that you can do on... on
a screen.
On the screen.
I'll have to test it out. I felt like I was missing out all of my...
I mean, it's not that great. It's like, are you familiar with a pirate ship? That's what it is. Right.
Yeah, but everyone will get so excited, Sarah.
Because it's like it's not there, and then it's there.
Right, I want that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. You know, I was looking through some of my drawings that I did when I had taken psychedelics once a long time ago, and they kind of do that, like give you a magic eye effect.
I want that.
If you're interested to see what this picture is, it is the very first and third picture that I ever posted on Instagram.
What are they?
They're just like geometric shapes that I couldn't stop drawing afterwards.
Okay.
It was like I was drawing, and I was doing a lot of doodles at the time, and it was like the one time I ever did anything, and
wow, that's how you kicked it off.
Couldn't stop drawing these like shapes and things. It felt like they were...
Someday I'm going to find out what is going on in your brain.
I mean, now that I've said that thing about my eyes like not focused and like doing that thing in the morning, there's some doctor who's like, you have this neurological disease and you probably have a tumor or something like that.
Wouldn't you love to have someone say like, you have like a special thing though? What if it's a special thing, not bad news, like tumor town?
I hope it's, good. It was nice to find out that the color graph makes synesthesia, so maybe it's something like that.
Why? Matt Neroni always talks about that. Why do you love it so much?
Because it was really cool to find out that the way I see the world wasn't. It just kind of blows your mind when you have an idea of how everybody else does something.
Yeah,
and then you realize
nobody.
Like that's just that part was more exciting.
Yeah,
it brought me just as much. Like it tickled me just as much to find out that my aunt has face blindness. Mm-hmm. You know, like they say Brad Pitt has it, and like my aunt can't recognize faces. And I was like, what? Tell me everything.
I think there's more to that story, too. Somebody was tweeting about Brad Pitt and was like, I don't know if they were joking or not, but they were saying they think he's just like really bad with names and like doesn't really give a shit who you are. So like he's told everybody that to get him off the hook. It's kind of brilliant if he did.
Because somebody who does have that almost goes to the other side where they go to like great lengths to not, which is my aunt, who doesn't ever forget. Like she'll remember everything and everybody's name and all this because she's like, her mind has created these shortcuts for her.
Yeah.
That would be like a long way around the road for us.
Yeah. Right.
Of like, this is how you remember this person, so she probably remembers better.
Well, on that note, I just want to wish you a very happy Halloween.
Thank you.
And a very
spooky
Halloween, too.
Yes.
I hope you guys get lots of candy and nobody laced it with... Don't you love how they think everybody... laces. Nobody's wasting their pot on kids.
Oh, is that what they think? Hell no.
THC or whatever?
Right. Good. We moved past razor blades. I wouldn't be wasting those things on kids anyway. Those are expensive as well.
That's true. I mean, have you ever tried to get one at CVS? You have to, like, get them to unlock it.
No joke. Yeah, they need, like, your ID, God, a kidney.
Well, get some candy and have a spooky time. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.